the darkest night, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Surviving together, victorious. Never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey everyone, how you doing? Gotta love that face I'm making there at the end. It's like, what the hell was I even doing? Welcome to Surviving Together. You've landed here today. I hope hope everyone is doing well today. Let's see who we've got here today. I might need to change my lights around. I'm still monkeying with these lights. And I am feeling like this is awfully white. Yeah, I like that a little better. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's see. Tommy Stiggs popped in. I know he's got a busy day. He's probably not going to stay, but thanks for dropping in and saying hi to everybody. Carmel, I'm so glad you're here. Good to see you. Shannon, yay. I'm going to assume you made it home okay, Shannon? Home? Good? Yay. I was saying what I said about Tommy because I know he just got home. And I answered one of Shannon's questions. Yes, he did. He just arrived home a little bit ago. And the only reason I know this, not because I'm in his pocket, but because he popped in on Fiendo's Live a few minutes ago and he mentioned it there. So that's the only reason I know. Let's see. Who do we have? Let's see. I said Shannon, Carmel, Tommy, Life on Mars. Hello. How are you? I don't believe I've seen you here in the chat before, so welcome. Let's see. And Life on Mars just subscribed to Tommy's channel too. Excellent. Crystal M, how are you? How are things going, Crystal? This Crystal, the one I'm speaking with. I see Phoenix down there, and I'm not talking to you yet, girl. Don't ask me why. I just got a really huge Southern accent when I started talking about you. I don't know. Missouri got on my brain and whatever. Body Illusion. Hi, how you doing? How is your boy doing too? Think about both of you guys. Deidre Gore. I am so glad you're here today. How are you doing, Deidre? How's your hubby? How's your dad? How's the car? How are you? That's a lot of stress. Not to mention, let's throw on Christmas season as well, and let's just pile on as much as we can at this time of year for you. So, but at least know that maybe if you get it all now, 2025 is going to be just golden. But I'm so excited for you that you've got friends coming. When do they arrive, Deidre? I'm so thrilled for you. I think that's so fun. And I never even think about, well, my friends would have to get a visa to come visit me. It doesn't, I don't know about you guys, but for any of those who are based in the US or even Canada, let me know from Canada, because I don't know. If you're just to go someplace to visit, would you think to have to get a visa. I don't know how it is in the EU, if that's just from like EU to EU country, or how that works, if it's time frame wise. I don't know. Crystal Phoenix, welcome. Just dropped to say hi. Going to be on Team Replay. She is busy, 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 guys. Trying to get the book out. That doing final, mad dash preps, last proofread, and all of that, so that the book will be out on the 21st. So it's so exciting. Thank you, Shannon, for sharing people's links. Dave T from Boston, so good to see you. Oh, let's get down here. Arlene, welcome. Welcome back. So good. So glad you are here. Jodella, how is life across the pond going? Let's see. Did I get I think I got everybody for now. I know we're going to have some other people wandering through. Oh, interesting. Judge says your friends could have come from the Netherlands without a visa, except that one child has a South African passport and Ireland requires South Africans to have a visa. Interesting. Wonder how they decide on all of these rules. You need a passport to travel to and from Canada, right? But I wonder, I don't know under what circumstances you would need to have a visa for like US, Canada. The only thing I think of is like student visa, or if a work visa. Okay, so Carmel is saying no visa necessary within the EU, but necessary for the US, though. Interesting. Thank you, Shannon, for throwing up ALV's channel. Guys, if you like ghost stories, if you're interested in the paranormal at all, check out ALV's channel. I just had the opportunity to go over there last night, and I was amazed at the stories, because I hadn't checked it out before, and I didn't know how things were going to go. And I thought you just like told ghost stories. And he does, but it's not like sitting around a campfire telling ghost stories type of thing, It's the ones that he had on last night were medieval. They were from like the 13th, 14th century. It was fascinating. So definitely, guys, check that out if you like that type of content at all. I found it really interesting. And ALV knows I emailed him, I think before the show was even over, going, I want to talk to you sometime, because I know the amount of time he has been doing that and going through those stories, the architecture that we were looking at with this one stone medieval abbey. It was just incredible. I would love to, ALV, I want to pick your brain. Okay, we can do a private chat just like this. You don't even have to give me your phone number. I just, grab a glass of wine and let's just chit chat, because I have a feeling I could definitely go down a few rabbit holes with you. Joe Nellis has been visiting my daughter from Tennessee from England. You need an ESTA, which I'm assuming is some sort of visa, and it needs to be renewed every 2 years. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, so Shannon has thrown up her channel, which is her Shannon Smith, this channel. Shannon, is your channel Shannon Smith, or is the channel sharing with Shannon as well? Honestly, I just followed whatever I had to follow and I subscribed. So if you've got more than one, then I'm probably subscribed to both. 1 o'clock Eastern during the week, most weekdays, as long as they both can fit it in, they do the Comfort Corner, which has been being hosted on Jimenez's channel for right now, which is Magic of Healing right here. And it's just, it's feel good. It's a place to connect and talk with others and just have a calm, comfortable, safe space. Thindu, hello, my man. So if you guys did not know, and most of you probably don't, unless you were in Thindu's live or caught me somewhere this week, Thindu is going to be joining me up here in a few minutes to talk about the show that we did on Wednesday a little bit, talk about his take on a few things, talk about his experiences. Like we had been speaking before, we're very, very different, right, in the types of backgrounds that we grew up in. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit through the trauma lens and looking at it from somebody else's perspective. I did want to speak first, though, about a few things. For my dog Buzz, hello. Thank you for coming on over. Appreciate you following Thindu on over. Guys, mean so much to me that you have such faith in Thindu that you follow him over, and it warms my heart. It really does. Thanks so much. Sorry, just leaving. Oh, you changed the name, Shannon? Okay, for the channel. All right, no problems. All right, I think that I have gotten with everybody who's been here. If you guys don't know, here's Thindu's show. Shannon's thrown that up here as well. And yes, please, if you have a channel and you'd like to throw your link up, you're more than welcome to. You can throw it in and can actually copy it then and throw it in her wrench and make it appear all nicey nice. I'm not sure exactly what it does with that. I think it's a linkable or clickable. The wrench is the difference between, it's like if I was to just type it, if I didn't have a wrench. I'm not 100% sure actually on that. But before I throw the link up to bring Thindu up here, there is something I wanted to talk about. And it really got me. When the CEO of United Healthcare, the guy who is being labeled as the person who did it, at least at this point, who they've arrested for it. I remember not knowing. All I had heard is that there was the shooting, and then one day I heard that they had actually picked somebody up. And I was in Tommy Stiggs's live, and Stiggs said, and everybody else was like, "Oh my God, really, an Italian?" And so everybody of Italian descent was like, ugh. Had to be an Italian that shot him, right? Had to be an Italian. Well, that's kind of what I am doing here today, going, they had to be Jewish, didn't they? This is my moment right now for me to go, I am ashamed. I'm ashamed that I have anything in common with the Alexander brothers. If you guys have not heard about Alon, Oren, and Tal Alexander, yeah, in general, Shannon, I never do either. And with this particular case, it was only the fact that part of the bail was denied for Tal Alexander because of, really for all of them, federally, I'm guessing will be denied. There's federal and state charges. There's There's Florida state charges in Miami, and then there is federal charges coming out of New York. Hey, Gianni, how you doing? These people allegedly, for the better part of 20 years, they're 37 and 38 respectively. Alan, or I should say, Alon and Oren are twins. They're 37. Tal is 38. For the better part of 20 years, these people have been perpetrating sexual violence upon women. This started as early as their high school years, where they would organize gang assaults and drugging the women. And this pretty much has continued right on until they got caught. This was something that was par for them. It was just the norm. This is the way they operated. And yet again, it's a case of people with status, with power, with money, just abusing the heck out of it. So if you don't know, let me just try to encapsulate this slightly for you. Shannon, no, I did not, and I'll tell you why. Did I think of Epstein as Jewish first? And no, I didn't. And I didn't think of these guys as Jewish first either. The fact even that they were Jewish, in general, I'm like, a scumbag's a scumbag, right? Everything with that, everything is alleged right now, despite any of the evidence that's been presented in the news media or by the prosecutor to the judge as part of the bail hearings and whatnot. Gianni, this just happened. This just happened recently. Well, a few months ago, I guess, the first cases started to be filed. Civil cases actually started to be filed, and now criminal cases have been filed. Hey, Ruby's mommy, how's it going? I'm so glad you're here today. How is Ruby doing? The only reason it struck me in terms of these people being Jewish was because of what is going on right now in the Middle East. And anytime it seems you have a case such as this, where part of it is that they have been back and forth. They still have family in Israel. And so the extradition was an issue. And they didn't want these guys getting out of jail. They didn't want them being placed on anybody's plane, hightailing it over there and not being able to find them. There's actually a cousin who is MIA right now. There is a cousin who has been alleged to have participated in these assaults as well, and he's in the wind. They have not caught him yet. Yes, Tal was the older brother, Tal Alexander, and then Oren and Alon, or Alon, it's A-L-O-N, are the twin younger brothers. They're only a year apart. But I guess they're huge in real estate, and I guess they had a show. I don't watch TV anymore, so kind of like a Property Stars type reality show or whatnot. But we're talking multi-million-dollar, like over $100 million homes type of thing. Very expensive properties. The elite of the elite in Miami, New York, and LA primarily. Aspen, some other, pocket high-end communities like that. They've been accused of organizing groups of women to come to where they are, having what they call a promoter, gather all these women, Somebody else who is part of their group was in charge of bringing the drugs, whether that was illicit substances such as, cocaine and mushrooms, but then also GHB. Okay. The date rape drug. They said many, many, many of these women feel that they were drugged. They had either no memory, partial memories, would wake up and not be able to move. Everything's very indicative of the use of some sort of chemical submission for these people, right? So most of it was sex trafficking. They're not, to my knowledge, at least what I've read, there's no allegations of the drug trafficking. It was just organizing the drugs for personal use, is my understanding. If anybody has different information, feel free to share. But it struck me. This really struck me because you've got, how many people do we have? Three high profile sex trafficking cases going on like this now. And it's really interesting because you think of, I don't know that I've seen so many sex trafficking cases stemming from the US as we do right now that have the potential to blow up even bigger than they already are. And so this Alexander Brothers one is definitely a case to follow, and I'll be following it as well. Not only from the standpoint of you're looking at somebody else with power and money and just treating women however they wanted to be treated. And I say women because there's no allegations that there was any other gender involved. They feel free, Lacey. I haven't gotten very far. It's good to see you. Glad you're here. I didn't really know what I wanted to say with this other than just my incredible outrage at it. That this has been going on for 20 years, allegedly. Running a train or getting on a train or something of that nature, this kind of language with train, is a slang term for gang rapes, right? And one of the twins actually put in the high school yearbook and said, what is your most memorable experience at high school, whatever the name of their high school was. And he put getting on my first choo-choo train while still in high school. Yeah. Is that what he meant? I don't know. There's allegations that this had occurred back in high school. There's women who have made allegations, I guess, throughout the years. Some have been just bullied into submission. Others kind of quieter, and it sounds like some of them are coming forward now. So it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see where this goes. The cases in Miami are from 2016, 2017, and 2021, I do believe. So there's 3 individual cases, criminal cases that are being brought in Florida. There are 3 survivors who have filed civil lawsuits against the brothers, 1 or both of them in New York. And then New York, I think it was Wednesday, just dropped their sex trafficking charges against all 3 brothers. So it allegedly is what the allegations in this case not only from what the brothers are alleged to do, but they did have some texts that were put together. My understanding was for purposes of the bail hearing and showing just how egregious the alleged activity was. There's some text exchanges between the brothers and some others with the brothers with third parties, setting up these things and trying to coordinate getting the women and whatnot. There was one text exchange that was reported. Again, everything's alleged, to be between two of the brothers. And they were talking about their reputation and how they want to be seen now that they're kind of television stars, have a name for themselves, public image that way. And one of them stated, yeah, really much the only thing that could go wrong is if one of the hoes complained. And he says, any of them complained? It's like, no, none yet that we know of. And it does seem to be so prevalent, doesn't it? And it certainly makes me glad that I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. It's not like it's any, I won't say it's more prevalent in the upper echelons than it is in the lower echelons. I think it happens differently, right? Things look different. There's certainly something to be said for money and power and how that just does seem to corrupt a person's soul. I mean, if these guys were like this from 16, 17, 18, years, to me, it seems like it's either something with them, the upbringing, the environment that they were around, which could mean just the other friends that they were around, but the certain sense of entitlement to whatever you want, and that you get it, and that you can have it, even if that is a person. Whereas you see that entitlement with other abusers as well, right? It's a very common thing, because it's about power and they feel they have the right to take what they want. Wow, Shannon. Finding out recently someone I know smuggles GHB was enlightening. I bet. I bet. It's yeah. Anyway, another case this week that just kind of smacked at me. I had sent this to Shannon just because Miami's a little closer to where she was. I had never heard of these people before, so we'll see what this one goes. We'll see, what else comes on the horizon. I have not been following anything in the Diddyverse. Oops. I have a couple of things to say about this, ALV, and Joe, your comment as well. ALVS, do you think this thing happened 70, 80 years ago and it just wasn't publicized? Seems like it's more prevalent these days. I 100% am certain with every fiber of my being that this happened. All you have to do is look at how slaves, or if they weren't slaves, the help within a household, and how many of those masters felt that they could just help themselves to the help because of who they were. And I say this because we know we've got lineages, right, that have been traced back to some of these powerful people that show that they had had children out of wedlock, so that there was relations somewhere. Now, I'm not saying that all of them were non-consensual, but there definitely, I think there has always been this sense of entitlement amongst a certain class of people. I also believe that it's something that was not taken seriously. It wasn't something that you talked about. Women just had to suck it up. If this happened to men, there's no way in God's green earth you would hear boo about it, because that just didn't happen, right? And men who did come out were ostracized for daring to speak that something had happened to them. Because what are you, weak? What do you mean you got abused? You don't want somebody doing that to you. You would have gotten away from it. How many men have I heard this from? That this is something that is part of their truth, that when they tried to speak up, they were ignored, they were laughed at, made fun of. It only takes once. I guarantee you that person, that male, not going to say anything again. How many of us as kids tried to tell somebody and we were shut down one way or another? Does that make you want to raise your hand and say again and go, okay, person A didn't listen to me, let's go on to person B? And unfortunately, that's what has to happen. We do our kids a great disservice by not believing in them. So do I think that this has always been happening? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that people are more comfortable coming forward with it now because there is more external support for them. There's a greater likelihood that they'll be believed. And with historic, somebody made a comment wondering about, if it's just taking 20 years for historic reports to be made. And part of that is very true. They figure right now between 20 and 30 years is the average for a middle-aged person, 40, 50, 60 years old, to report, to disclose for the first time any abuse. It's a pretty long time to hold that thing in and hold it to yourself. So, Joe, do I think that some of these would happen if they had strong parenting? Yep. I believe it can still happen with strong parenting. Does that mean that if more people had strong parenting, that this maybe wouldn't happen? My hope is that it would be less. But regardless of the parenting, the education that we can do, whether that's from that parent, whether that's from a grandparent, whether it's from a teacher, wherever they get that information, a lot of parents they don't even know how to talk about sexual abuse. They don't know how to talk about physical abuse. They may even be guilty of emotional abuse themselves. So talking to their child, that can be a very difficult thing to navigate. And as we've seen, as some of our subs even have reported, occasionally you can have a child, let's just take a child, for instance, who has been so beaten and battered by their home life that they will grab onto any sense of control that they have, and often that's towards a third party. So whether that is bullying, anger outbursts, physically or sexually abusing another person, that sort of abuse can beget abuse, just because that abused person, that abused child, wants something to be able to control. They have none in their own life, and may not come up as a child, may leak out as an adult, may leak out as in different ways as an adult. Absolutely. And, sometimes when you have strong parents, it's tough. Parents can be the perpetrators too. Even when they're telling you A, B, and C on one hand, and yet they're doing X on the other. And these two things are polar opposites. And so you can imagine how confusing this is for a child going, wait a minute, you're telling me no A, B, and C, and yet at home we have A, B, and C. I'm so confused, right? The message that the child can be sent then gets really messed up. Okay, so I did just, okay, so Thindu, I have just thrown out the link for you. Feel free to come on back whenever you want. And this is actually a good segue. This is a conversation that I've been having anyway, in terms of what we're going to talk about with Thindu and his background, the culture that he grew up in. Very similar to my dad. Italian Catholic, Polish Catholic, just this very ethnic, extremely religious. Shannon, I know somewhat about Fatty Arbuckle's case, but not a whole lot. And it's amazing, Gianni, that people can know right from wrong, can try and teach their kids right from wrong, and yet they're doing wrong in the background. We as humans have such a capacity to be living contradictions. And call that maybe it's their ability to compartmentalize. And that's why they're able to do it, I don't know. And there lies the key, Joe Della Mira. He says, I think everything starts from the family. If you're raised in a loving, honest family household, it's more protection, makes people less vulnerable. And here is it. If you're raised in a loving, honest family household. We're all going to have our problems, right? Nobody's childhood is going to be perfect. Nobody's parenting is going to be perfect. Lord knows, with as much as I knew, I still didn't know enough about my own trauma not to have passed some of it down to my child. I know it as sure as I'm sitting here. I didn't know enough. And these are the kinds of things that need to be talked about. How many people went into parenting pretty much blind? I didn't take a parenting class. I didn't read a parenting book. I'd babysat. I'd taken care of people, taken care of myself. I thought, I've seen what my parents did wrong, right? I got this. Never mind you, I was trying to raise a child in an alcoholic relationship, and how messed up mentally I was because of all of that. So the best that I did the best that I could do with what I had, and I still could have done better. And so that's what education is so, so, so key. Hey, Dindu, how's it going?
Good, surviving. How are you?
Good. Let's say Mustang Mike just popped in. I want to say hi to him.
Yep. I don't have too much longer. I messed up the time here.
Oh,
So,
okay. Got
yeah,
it.
I'm gonna have to start dinner in a little while.
Yeah, so let's jump
I-
right in with you then.
Okay.
What what struck you the most? I reached out to you this week after my live and I said, "Hey, I think this might be good to talk about again from somebody who has not been in this world, has not been talking about trauma at all, has not been defining their life like this at all, and say, what struck you from what I talked about on Wednesday?"
Well, that title and that subject, masking,
Mm-hmm.
and I took it as masking your problems, masking your pain, masking your fears. Obviously, that's what you were talking about, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big
Okay.
part of it. Yeah.
So Bindu never talked about his masking, and I'm like listening to you and I'm listening to everybody in the chat. It's supposed to be educational, so that's what I use it for. And I'm
Absolutely.
listening. I finally came up to masking your problems and how people deal with it and this and that. And it's amazing how some of us deal with it in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
And with Dindu, I didn't mask my pain with alcohol or drugs or Dindu masks his pain with anger, savagery,
Mm-hmm.
viciousness.
Very common.
That turned me on more than anything. Any drug or alcohol could do to a man. I don't know what happened, but it was a button I never switched on. It never switched on. And this was in 2006 and 7. So it was a little later on. You want to talk about a monster?
Mm.
I said to myself, bitter? Who's mad? Bitter? Who's? Shut up! I didn't want to hear nothing because I thought it was a turn on for me. That was my high. And then it was, you don't care who you hurt, who you crush, who you step on. I used to wake up, go to work. I couldn't wait for somebody to mess up. Or, one day I woke up and said, what kind of life is this?
Mm-hmm.
You got your marbles. You're straight. You're running tough. But you're looking for a reason just to fight, just to do something, argue with something, not even long. It's just like, get to it and get gone. It's just crazy stuff, So I said to myself, you know what? Be nice to talk to Survive and see what everybody else masked themselves with and how they went through it. Now, do you realize what a problem it was? And the only problem it was with Dindu. It didn't affect nobody else except for the people I was hurting.
Right.
As easy as I could turn that button on, I could turn it off. I was wow.
When did you? Okay, so we spoke a little bit beforehand, and I know that you used to box.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yep,
when did you start boxing? Is that something you did since your childhood or got into?
6 years old, 6, 7 years old. My father and my uncle put boxing gloves on me. It was all over with. That was it. So I didn't get into it. I was 13, amateur. And then I just, went through the amateurs, never turned pro or nothing like that. Got married young, graduated from school, got married, all that good stuff. So, it was something my father forbid. My father didn't come to a fight. My father didn't want to hear nothing about it.
Now you had
there was
violence,
another issue.
Violence and anger was a common part of your childhood household, though, right? As well. This is something you're kind of used to.
This was
environment?
the environment where I came from. That was loved. That was Dindo, Daddy. You're a man now. Daddy, what do I do now? No, that was just something. You had to be a tough guy. I never went home and said I got beat up. I never
Right.
went
Oh.
home and said Dindo got bullied.
Right.
Surviving, I would have got my ass handed to me. He would have
Mm.
took me right over there, and that
Yeah.
would have been no, none of that nonsense.
Yeah.
None of that hokey pokey. With my father, that I was 5 years old when the neighborhood bully came to start with Dindo. My father put him in the backyard with me, around a ring of people. He and my godfather were in the window screaming, "Knock his head off, Dindo!" No,
He
that
thought he was
was
preparing you for
he
the life of
prepared
what
me.
you had in the neighborhood.
And I love him for every second of it. I love him for every second of it. If it got me in trouble, that's okay. He used to tell me, that's okay. You defended yourself. You stood up for yourself. I'll get you out of that trouble every day. He goes, you get arrested for drugs, you get arrested for that, you get arrested for stealing something, you're going to stay in jail and see how you like it. See, my father, he was one of them guys, he never drank. He never did anything like that. So he loved boxing. He was a street guy. My father was tough. I mean, tough as nails, just like my grandfather. They all worked. They were blue collar to the max. And, that's the way Dindo wanted to be. My grandfather was into the boxing and I would never, hey, Papa, this happened. No, we were always that proud, tough family. And coming out of the West Side in Buffalo, if you weren't tough, you were going to get squashed. So, and of course, our neighborhood, so, sum it up a little bit more, we grew up on the West Side of Buffalo, New York. Sicilians, Italians, and then you had your Irish, your Polish people, your African Americans. We were all in one, South Buffalo, you had your Irish and your Polish. West Side, you had your Sicilians and your Italians. East Side, your Afro-Americans and your Polish people. It was like, but everybody was right there. We all grew up together. It was great. It was called a neighborhood back then.
Right.
There was nothing of this bullshit happening today. If you walk through a neighborhood or if you had to walk through another part of town, yeah, you better be prepared. I mean, you're on the street, you're walking through another part of town, you better be prepared for some trouble. That's all Dindo did. He was fight his way out of problems, trouble. We didn't have cars. We didn't have good bikes. We walked everywhere. So when you walk through the neighborhood, you got to get your P's and Q's set. You might see Kenny. Kenny loves to fight at the corner of Potomac and Baines. He'd fight everybody. So when you walk by the store, you're going to have to fight Kenny, right? Oh, well, let's go around the block. Fuck him. It's snowing out. I'll knock him out. That's our mentality as kids and growing up in a neighborhood like that. I had 8 guys around me. Every single one of them was a fighter.
Right.
They knew what to, we all knew what to do for each other. I mean, one of us fought, all 8 of us are fighting. Didn't matter if they had 32 guys or if they had 2 guys. The 2 guys are going to be in trouble. The 32 guys are going to be in for a big fight. So,
right.
And that's the way it was, growing up, being who you are, being what you are. And then you had families, with problems. You had, Joe, his father was a drinker. He loved to come over. He loved my father. So he'd come over to the house. There was no alcohol at the house. So Joe loved it at my house, you know? And so you get it. But I used to go to Joe's. His father, and he used to love us kids. Love us kids. We didn't see none of
No,
that.
you no, no, no.
You
You
didn't
probably
see
wouldn't.
none of that.
You probably wouldn't.
No.
No.
They wouldn't embarrass their family. They're not going to embarrass their face. You know, he used to take us to football practice. He used to take us in the yard. The best people in the world. See, you don't know. You know,
Right. And what JoJo was
one person's going through
experiencing
this.
when he was at home at night could have been absolutely 100% totally different. And, yeah.
You know, as kids, we can't do nothing about it. We got no say.
No, you don't.
know-
And you're totally powerless and totally, you don't have control. And
See,
I understand what you guys are saying. And I think it's an important talk to have, especially when it comes to physical violence, as to how do we instruct our kids to take care of themselves and be able to handle themselves, but not crossing over into a violence mentality, you
right.
know? And
Yes.
it was very difficult for me, say for my son when he was in kindergarten, years ago. He would come home and be like, Mom, I don't want to be a little bee and not stand up for myself. But yet if I do, he could get suspended.
Yes.
Right? It's totally different. And, it's there's something to be said for being able to talk and use your words first, and being able to get along without the fists first. But I certainly understand that it was a different time and a different environment.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes. My father taught us the first thing, surviving. All what we're talking about, okay, all the violence, the fighting, the this and that. Daddy had rules. You know what his first rule was? Never fight a girl.
I have heard this from
girls are off limits, Deandle. Okay, Daddy. Never try to walk away. You try to get out of there. You try to do, but that never helps. He taught us he brought us, gave us the golden rules of, who not to fight. You don't beat up nobody weaker than you. You never bully anybody. You used to tell us, go after the tough guy. You go after them guys. You beat up the strong guy. Go after the biggest guy in the group. He goes, then everybody will run.
Right.
Deandle was a different growing up and bringing up. That's the way we did it, and it was, again, all there for us,
Mm-hmm.
That was us, and the rules were the rules. You think I'd go home and tell my father, I got in a fight with a girl then? I would have caught a beating of my life just because I said girl in the same sentence, or, hey, Dad, I beat up this old guy. Or, Dad, I got in trouble for, the first thing my father used to say, if someone's got a health problem or a disability, Deandle, help those people. You always help them people. And growing up, Deandle had an autistic and a mentally retarded kid. I don't know how else to say it. I grew up with. And that's all I did was defend these kids my whole life. Up until one of them passed away 2 years ago. They were the love of my life. Deandle was their Superman. And, I did anything for these kids. And that was me. That's what my father taught me, and I got the same love and respect out of those kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, did you see when you were a kid growing up, were there times you said, like with JoJo and his dad, you had no idea what would have been going on. Did you know of anybody else who had either domestic violence issues at home or their sexual abuse issues? Did people know about any of this? And you guys just didn't talk about it? Did you know?
You don't want to be you wouldn't want to be the first person to talk about it. Where Deandle comes from, surviving, I'm going to use this. I'm not using this word loosely. I'm using it very tight. You never rat on nobody. My father, whatever happens in that house, you shut your mouth. Dindu went home a couple times. Hey, Dad, man, what'd you just say?
Right. Everybody's dirty laundry stays their own dirty laundry.
That Dindu, would you like for them to talk? Okay. Just like I said, respect given, respect back. Nobody, perfect example. We were 13, 14 years old playing strikeout in the playground. I'll never forget it every day. And my one buddy, he was pitching. We waited on him that day. He was a little late. He had to do his chores.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew what kind of household he came from, His mom, man, she'd only be home in the morning till the bar opened. One day she walked over. He lived 5 houses away from the playground. He forgot to do one chore. She walked over there in her shorts and flip-flops and gave him the beating. Till this day, I never seen a kid catch a beating from a parent like that in my life. She petrified and shunned and deafened that playground.
I bet.
She walked that kid home, and there wasn't another word said after that. I'll tell you one thing. Nobody ever played around that house or talked to that kid
Yeah.
Make sure you listen. Make sure you listen to your mama.
Yeah. And
So,
this is the thing. I mean, when you look at it from the outside and say, I'll respect your space, you respect mine. What happens in my household happens in my household. What happens in yours is in yours, and I'm not going to talk about that if you don't talk about mine. And you say, well, that's just mutual respect between the two. But what about the kids who are suffering then?
Right.
What does that mean for the kids that are suffering? So there has to be a point where we stand up and speak out for the others who can't. And part of that goes with education, because some people just don't even know what to look for.
No.
There was, I remember very, very clearly, there was a house that was in the neighborhood, and they were the go-to for anything fun. And that's all I knew it as, until I got older and I realized what that house was. Well, it was a pedo who lived there, who had everything in the universe that could attract any kid. And of course, kids wanted to go over there. Of course, parents wanted to send their kids over there. They get a break, right? And, the kids were having fun. At least that's all that they heard. So that's just one little example.
I know.
But there has to be a point where we say we have to protect the kids over respecting the sanctity of your ability to do what you want behind closed doors.
Right. Right.
And whether that's the kids or whether that's, one of the partners, because males can be abused too. So, don't know which it is. And very much
But my
finding our
grandfather,
voices.
when I got married, my grandfather, he gave me one piece of advice. And I tell you what, I give it to every man.
Yeah.
When there's a problem in the house, Dindu, and the arguing starts, and there's kids around, you have 2 options. Only 2 options you have.
Yep.
You grab your coat, you get in that car, and you leave. Because you could always go back to the problem and talk like 2 mature people away from the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Best advice, I followed that advice my whole life, and it worked. You never let them see you. And this again is Dindu. Okay. Like my great grandparents, my grandfather, my grandmother, my mother, my father, there's no divorce in this family throughout 200 years. We don't know what that is. Up until this day, I'm sitting here talking to you with my wife.
Right.
I know what it is from other people.
Mm-hmm.
surviving. I've been there, done that with people.
Right.
And when I got older, my friends did that and done that. So, I'm not going to sit up here and, go all over the place with that on what I've witnessed and been through with people and what I have myself. Because what I had myself, I can't compare it to anybody else. There's not too many people that are going to go in those shoes Dindu just said and say, well, Dindu, I got 5 generations too that ain't been divorced. I'd be like, hey, God bless you. I'm not alone.
Right.
So, I thank God for some of the gifts I got from God. I mean, you got to run all the way to the bank with them. That's what makes you a bigger man and a bigger woman. What you see coming out of your family, your parents, your grandparents. That's why I stressed everybody. They don't know how important a father is. And, and I'm only speaking on the male aspect of this all.
Yeah.
Okay. So, to Dindu, absolutely. A woman's place, a man's place is under the same roof. This is my best friend. This is all I got. This is it. So now you make it to the best you could, and then Enzo came in 7 months ago. So, so many things have changed now,
Yeah. Very much so.
I don't know whether I'm coming or going sometimes, surviving, and then I got to worry about him. I'm worried about him. How am I going to raise Enzo? How do I want to raise Enzo? And right now he's such a beautiful baby and good baby. And you're like this, okay, just be careful, okay, now I'm like a mad scientist. Okay.
I have a child, I can mold him.
I can mold, that's what I feel like, this weirdo. Let me mold him into a little Dindu, and then my wife's like this, I'll hit you with the baseball.
I was saying, because my biggest thing is, because I don't know where baby's dad is, but I'll tell you with my experience, when I divorced when I was 5, my son was 5, I finally got out of an alcoholic marriage. And unfortunately for me, even though I knew in my head as a smart, intelligent, highly educated woman, don't argue in front of the kid, right? Here's me in the throes of it, trying to argue with an alcoholic, which one you can't do anyway. You can't argue with somebody who's drinking. It took me years to figure this out, right? You're in the middle of the argument before going, what the frick am I doing? I'm arguing with an alcoholic. But then I'm like, he's only 2. He won't remember. This is my brain thinking. And it's like, oh, and now I know. Well, no, it's not a conscious memory he's going to remember. But yeah, he remembers all the trauma. His body remembers all that trauma. His body remembers all that yelling. His body remembers all of that. Even when I moved out, my dad and I are like this. We and always have been since I was growing up. Always have been. And it picked right back up where it left off from. And so my biggest thing is, I'll just say is don't overrule mama in front of the child or behind the child. That was probably one of the biggest things that my parents had to learn. Well, I'll say particularly my dad had to learn, was that he wanted to be there and he wanted to be that father figure and he wanted to be a strong influence for him. But it came at a cost sometimes in terms of what I was saying. And so that can be, again, you're throwing a kid in the middle and going, which one am I going to do? Where do I look? And now that we're realizing how much from 0 to 5 kids learn, how much they absorb, that every cell in our body is capable of holding memories, not like we think of as memories, as brain memories, but it holds a memory of trauma that happens to us.
Yes,
whether that's physical, whether that's emotional, so fear, any of those things, our bodies are remembering all of that, and how critical that 0 to 5 is for you, for Enzo. It's, such a fabulous time, such an amazing time to see them grow and develop, but trying to also then keep in mind how malleable they really are at this stage.
Absolutely. I mean, now, Enzo, there's my wife and my daughter, and then there's Dindu. So Dindu's the only male around
Okay.
Enzo. Dean does it. This is it.
Yeah.
So I could already at 7 months, I could see I want to put it like, you could see the jungle. You could see Papa Lion and you could see Cubby Lion. Okay. First thing he does, if I shave because I was with him. He goes like this, surviving to me. And he knows the whiskers. He pops it. That's it. I melt right there.
Yeah.
And then, if I rub it, he knows the whiskers. Look at this animal. Oh, the girls don't have whiskers. The girls don't, they have voice. He's like this when I talk. He's always, he always looks at me. I mean, you can see that in a baby at 6, 7 months when you're doing it right. When you're bringing up a kid right, the way it's supposed to be. I mean, and this is only Dean Do talking. I'm trying my best as a grandpa. That's all
we can do. It's all we can do.
That's it.
And seriously, by looking at your past, by looking at what came out of that, your emotions, you learn to mask those. You learn to not show those to anybody else. You learn that when you were dysregulated, when you were discombobulated inside, I mean, that's something that the world just didn't see. And looking at that and realizing how valuable it is that we actually do feel our feelings, and that as a kid, we're validated that, yeah, what you're feeling is you're scared. That's okay. It's an okay feeling to have. You're right to be scared in this situation. Or, hey, you know what? You don't need to be scared. It's not so bad. But being able to do that, and you are providing such value to Enzo and to everybody else around you.
Right.
I mean, I have to applaud you, because it's not something that a lot of people would do, even at a surface level.
I quit drinking in 2006.
Oh,
so
and then your anger came, right?
That's when I was trying to. Yes, when
How long had you been drinking for?
I retired from the streets in 2006. I lost 2 friends. I lost my dog. And I had to just pull everything. It came to a point. I said, but number one, after I do all this, I'm losing the phone I have. I'm erasing everybody out of my life. And I'm going to quit this son of a bitch and drinking today. And that my wife gave me her phone. She goes, listen, I want you to listen to something. This was about a day, 2 days before I quit drinking. I went like this. Wow. I said, your boyfriend's a real asshole. You let him talk to you like that? I handed her the phone. And I quietly, slowly, with my head in between my legs, went downstairs to my room and cried my eyes out. Because that was me on the phone.
Yeah.
I didn't understand one word I said. I said, wait a minute. That's me? The next day, you want to talk about coming clean, honey?
Yeah.
The phone went in the garbage, and that was it. And then, as time went on, I put my head down. After all that, I just went right to work every day for the next till now. Built up my pension, but I masked it with that anger, that ruthlessness.
You weren't masking it with the alcohol anymore.
I know you.
So that came out. So even though, you know what we call it, right? A dry drunk.
A dry drunk, she said. I never heard that before.
You never heard that before?
No, a dry drunk.
A dry drunk.
A dry drunk.
Yes, a dry drunk.
Oh,
when you're not dealing with any of the underlying issues as to why you're really drinking in the first place, and we're talking about more than just, I have my half a glass of wine with dinner type of thing.
Right,
When you're drinking
right.
every day consistently, or binging, on the weekends or whatever, when you're not dealing with all of that stuff, all of that emotion, all of that yuckiness that the reasons why you do it, but yet you quit drinking, we call it a dry drunk.
Dry drunk. I can't take this right now. I can't.
Yeah.
I'll be
Dry
sitting
drunk
on
is
the
very
couch
real.
for 4 hours later. I was a dry drunk. That'll be
Dry
it.
drunk. Yep. So you're still doing all of the behaviors. You're just not drinking.
I'm just not drinking.
Yeah.
I never
But
thought of
nothing-
it like this. See what I mean? This is why I wanted to come on your show.
Absolutely. That's why I wanted you on here.
I always said I want legal answers. I want to go see a psychiatrist, shrink, a doctor. I just want legal answers to some of my problems. And see that
Kind of be able to put words to what you're feeling. And
what
this
you're
is why
feeling.
we have to teach the kids. And this is why we have to know ourselves. Because how are you going to teach Enzo if you don't know yourself? How are you going to teach Enzo that this is a feeling and this is okay and this is all right? And yeah, I maybe just having fists in my life wasn't the answer.
So-
it prepared me for something that I had to. Great.
I said this one time before.
Mhm.
You know what? I'm going to say one. This is the last time I'm ever going to say. Since I started drinking at 18, 19. I never drank or did drugs. My father, please. So from 18 to 96. So that would make me 36, 35, 36.
So 20
surviving.
years.
Yeah.
20
When
years.
I was drinking and I was drunk and
Mhm.
I'd rather fight than
Yeah.
have sex.
Mhm.
Did you just hear what I said?
Uh-huh.
Okay. One day she told me, she goes, don't ever say that out loud. No, that is the animal I was. I explained that to Maureen Frick one time. I love Maureen, one of my subscribers.
I recognize the name. Yeah.
Yeah, I told her if we were walking out of a bar at 4:30 in the morning, and I had you on my arm, and we're walking to the car, and the only thing in a normal guy's mind is to get that woman in the car and go home. You know what I mean? But that's all you had to have is some jerk. Hey, little man. Hey, what are you doing with him? Hey.
One little comment and off you were.
One little comment, like Adam Cravassier would say, Dean, you probably didn't lose when you were drunk. That everything would go right to him for the instant. Just take him out.
Yep.
Take him out. He wants to be a tough.
Yep.
I'd have the woman sit. Just stay there. So that was my rush. That was a bigger rush.
Yeah. Well, it's what you knew.
That's it.
It's what
That's
made
it.
you feel good. It's what made you feel powerful. Right?
Okay.
I mean, it's what had
Absolutely.
it's what had always gotten you respect in the past. So this is the path to getting that, as far as your brain is concerned.
Right. You know what? Let me go knock him out. That'll impress her even more.
There you go.
I didn't think that way. But that's the facts right there.
Consciously you weren't. Consciously. And see, this is the key. Consciously you weren't thinking that.
Right.
But when something happens to us over and over and over again, your dad prepared you for a situation. Fight,
Yes.
flight, or freeze. What are you going to do? You're going to fight, because that had been drilled into you. Your body knew it on that subcellular level that this is my reaction. And that's what I was talking about before, is because if you don't have something, if you've never dealt with situations before, your body will make the best decision it can for you at that time. And it may not be the one that your logical brain wants to make, but it takes 7/1000th of a second for your animal brain to make that decision to freeze, flee, fight, or there's fawn as well, a different category. Your rational brain takes half a second. Half a second.
Right.
So you were going to fight every single time.
Right.
Because
right.
that's
Yeah,
what your
no doubt.
body knew. Your fear, trauma, anything, that's boom. That's what you're getting. And that's why it is so important that when we speak with people, Shannon says, I should have fought. Well, you may have wanted to, but guess what? Your body decided for you. It doesn't
Right.
matter. You can't blame yourself for something you could not have prevented.
Right.
You could not have made a conscious decision faster than your brain made one for you. So don't blame yourself for something that your body already did. And we can't feel shame for it, and we can't feel guilt for it, because the decision was out of our hands, 100%. I wanted to say just a brief hello to a few people who have popped in. Misha, so glad you are here. So glad you popped in. I know you've been, I know you guys have been speaking right away, and I've been trying to keep a little bit of an eye on the chat here, but who else do we have? Cranky, so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Anybody else? I think that's it in terms of people who popped in. Bobo, you popped in and I think has popped out already. And Gianni had to pop out, but that's so glad you was here.
That's a great point by Awakened, by the Looking Glass Reflection, his last one. I used to fight, still do sometimes, but now I freeze in the strangest ways. But you know what, Awakening? You freeze in the smarter ways, because I'd be lying to tell you if I didn't freeze. No, you're always remembering there might be a health problem with that guy. If I hit that guy, see the thinking, Mac, see the thinking?
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at that guy first and say, whoa, is he in shape? And I'm not in the greatest, I'm not a kid anymore, but before I did lay hands on some, I'd make sure they're in shape. They're not some old man, someone with a health problem, someone that can't handle themselves. Oh, God forbid. I would never be able to live with myself at this age. But no, it happens to all of us now. I'm not going to step in that circle right now if I don't have to. No, Dindu's not saying all that tough guy stuff. No,
well, and
it hits.
Sometimes fighting can just be, a verbal altercation back as well, depending on what we have. Joe Della, good night. Best to you. Thanks for stopping in and staying with us. Misha also wants to awaken at the Looking Glasses. Our wonderful Misha. She is actually the one who made my intro. So if you guys like the music and the words to our intro, this is our very own Misha who did that for me and put that all together. And she says, sounds like you, Thindu, have come a long way towards becoming the man you are destined to be. Not hard earned. It's not worth doing right.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. She's right. Yep.
You're the best, Misha. You're the best. We love you. We love you to death. You are an absolute treasure gem. And, some of us we often talk about those of us who have been through trauma, and really most of us have, if we've made it to any sort of age. It's just what kind of trauma and how well did we deal with it, depending on the tools that we had available to ourselves and the information that we had available. And,
right. And it was the same thing. It was the same thing with my father. Oh, 2000, and real fast. 2014, I lost my father.
Mm-hmm.
The first 8 months, Mac. Oh my God. It was like someone pulled the remote switch. All that hatred and anger came right back. Like this. I calmed it down. The dry drunk calmed that all down. I was like the healthy drunk, I want to say then, in 2012, 13.
Right.
I was doing good. I was working 7 days a week. We had the biggest project going, and then 2014, just turned 2014 on my birthday. My father dropped dead on me.
Oh my goodness.
That was it. You want to talk about what? I don't know what to say. Those
Emotional floodgates opened up, it sounds like. It
That
sounds
was the
like with
first-
his passing, it was kind of like you allowing yourself to just let go.
Yes. You talk about crying. That was the first
Yeah.
time I cried. You? What was I? 50. I was just turned 50. That was the first time I ever cried. I haven't stopped crying since that day. Now I think I'm a weirdo.
No, you're just
Okay.
in touch with yourself. Just
I
more
guess
in
that's
touch
what
with yourself.
that's what awakening just said. I guess that's what it took.
Yeah.
And then the time came. It was going to be my daughter walked in. I was sitting there eating dinner one night. My daughter walked in and said, "Dad, look what I have." I turned around. I said, "Get that fucking thing out of the house right now. Get that dog out of here now." She goes, "Dad." I turned back around. Okay, the hate. You don't know the viciousness. I didn't get him out. I didn't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
She paused. That I don't know what came over me. I said, "Let me see that thing." Do I got to say what happened after that? You?
Is that Vito?
Vito was born. The love of my life. The best gift from God I ever got. Like, I'm not going to start crying. He saved my life. He saved my life in 3-4 different ways. I can't go there here right now, but
Animals have a tendency to do that.
add a dog into
Yeah.
that equation right before death, I guess. I don't know. A puppy.
They're healing on so many levels. They really can
As soon
be.
as I smelled his breath and that smell, that was it, I guess.
Puppy breath. It's like
Puppy
baby breath.
I sucked his mouth. Oh, that was it. It became my dog. My daughter started crying. She goes, "Dad, I got that dog for me, you know." Well, you live here, it's my dog now. No, Vito's, it's a Dindo's dog. Yeah.
So Vito's about 10 years old now, huh?
Yes. So Vito, 3 years ago, I said to myself, with the fun I'm having, the love with this dog, I'm opening up a YouTube page. They laughed at me. They go, "You don't even know how to turn a computer on." They laughed at me. So I started my procedures and you got me sitting here today with you, and this is what we formed over here in the last 3 years. What me and my doggy and the great people we have, of course. So
Shannon says her dog saved her life too.
oh,
And,
Shannon, I'll tell you what, Shannon, I can't. I don't know. I hope he lives forever, Shannon. Mine.
Oh, she's got 2 adorable King Charles Spaniels. Do you know what those are? They're kind of that reddish.
Yeah,
oh, they're
reddish.
so adorable. Shannon, if I don't get to see those puppies when I'm down in Florida, I'm going to burst. I've got to see those. They're just so cute. The very first dog we ever had was a Cocker Spaniel, and he was older than I was. He was older than my brother because he was the firstborn, right?
Yeah. Nana had Taffy, a Chihuahua. The thing lived to 22 years old. His eyes were half closed. It would sit in the bed like this and look at you. Mort. My father came in one day. He goes, Ma, do that dog a favor. What are you doing? The dog can't even get out of the...
Oh, 22. Holy camole.
And she used to tell my father, "Shut up," in Italian. "You Martha, you dead. I love..." The dog couldn't even move. Oh, my God. Taffy's okay. Don't worry. Taffy ate today. Okay. You couldn't tell
Shannon
me.
grew up with a Cocker Spaniel. Sliminy Cricket's here. I have not been able to catch a show yet of yours. And I did sub, but I have not been over there to check you out. And I definitely do need to do that. Just kind of going through both these things. And yeah, it's a tough time for people who have lost parents or other loved ones around this time. I know that's a lot.
Oh, I see I see some of my wise guys in there.
Exactly. You gotta have them.
I love them. They make my whole show. Are you kidding me? Krumel, Boo Boo says I'm sleepwalking. Be careful.
And this is why I love you guys, and this is why I started doing our first
Good.
Saturday of the month too, as just let off some steam and to just laugh. And laughter really is the best medicine. We're releasing all that
Absolutely.
dopamine in our heads and just all the good stuff, and it heals us on such a core level.
Right.
And
Right.
Misha, you're right. We're survivors. We're just survivors now. We all are.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's what we all are. Survivors. We're doing our thing now. And the best thing is we got the internet to correspond.
Yeah.
Look at the different ends of the world, different ends of life, the different cultures, the things. I've never learned so much in the last 3 years on here than I've
Because
learned.
really, truly, let's look at your situation. Look at how you grew up, your
Right.
feelings initially for your father, and thank you for helping me and crafting me into the man that I was, because that helped me survive the environment that I was in.
Yes.
But now as an
Yes.
adult looking back, can you think of doing that with Enzo?
No. No.
Yeah. So
No.
now we get to
I can't
look at this,
imagine.
we get to take our trauma out and shake it out and look at it and go, okay, well, this is the message that he was trying to send, and that's what I can impart, but let's do it in a different manner, right?
Yes. Yes.
And,
Wait.
yeah.
Surviving one more.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my godfather and my aunt lived around the corner with the twins, my cousins. And I'd walk over there. Every time I walked up that porch to that hallway, I already knew what I was going to in store for. I'd enter the front door, and they'd have the hallway, upstairs, downstairs, and I'd go like, I'd give my knock. And here would come, I'd hope and pray it wasn't my godfather without his shirt. He'd come to the door. He'd work construction. He was one of them guys. He'd be in in the chair.
My grandfather.
He'd come to the door and he'd go, "Who is it?" Oh my God. Z! Ah, you heard this joy come over his voice. He'd open the door. "What do you got for me today, punk?" He'd put me in the corner, and I'd probably get 50 to 60 undelivered right and left hooks all over the place.
Oh my God.
Okay. While he was laughing, while he was showing and teaching me how to be a tough guy. And my aunt screamed, "Leave him alone! Let him in the house! I'm making him tough." That was every time I went to that house. Nobody was going to tell him any different.
Right.
You think Dindu was going to complain? I'd hug him and kiss him. After a while, you get older, it didn't hurt anymore. So you used to love to go there and make it, and you laugh at him, That's how it was. That's how you loved him for all that stuff. You loved him.
Right.
Hour later, we'd be watching the fights, the boxing, and we'd watch fights. The boxing matches Tuesday, Thursday nights, 8:00. We'd all be at the house watching the fights every night. So
that's interesting. I never remember anything like that on TV. Not to say that it wasn't, but it just wasn't ever on our TV.
In the 1980s, ESPN and other sports network had boxing on every night. That's all we watched.
Oh, once cable came.
Yes. I'm sorry. Once cable came. I'm sorry. Yes. In our teenage years.
Exactly. Yes. Do you remember when you first got your cable box?
Absolutely. That black box with the dial. The black box with the dial. Everybody break the knob. The knob would fall off. You'd put paper in it.
We had one of the big console TVs, that was the whole piece of furniture.
Yeah.
And the knob, of course, had fallen because this is before remote controls. So we just had locking pliers on the knob. And those just stayed
Yes.
there. So you
Yes.
could turn
Vice
you could
grips. The
turn
vice grips.
there you go. So you could, turn it and stuff.
Well,
We were remote controls.
they had a plastic knob with a little piece of tape. So after a while, you would wear that sucker. They made it nice and easy to turn. So you'd be like this, just wearing out the button.
Yup. Like you get more than 3 channels? What? Do you mean like when it's the presidential speech, I don't have to watch it? Or watch nothing?
Nothing.
State of the Union was the worst night of all nights growing up because you had nothing else to watch.
I'll tell you
We
what.
only ever had the one TV though, too.
Yeah, us too. Us too.
Till I graduated high school, we only had
Us too. Yep. One TV.
Yeah, that was it.
One in
We
the
weren't
TV
even allowed
room.
phones in our rooms. We didn't get phones in our room. We didn't get that big ass long cord so you could like go into the next room and shut the door or anything. No, if you couldn't stand there in the kitchen and have a conversation with it, then it wasn't a conversation that you needed to be having.
Yep.
That was definitely so. In a lot of those types of things, I can very much relate because my dad was very much the same. He probably would have been even a little bit more tougher had it not been. My dad was the ROTC military guy, and is to this day he's a lieutenant colonel Marine, and
God bless
that's
him.
all he ever was. And he lived his life at General Motors, but he was always a Marine, and you could not take that out of him. And I think if my brother was a little bit different, maybe it would have, but my mom was a hippie. And you got the two of these guys together.
Peace and love, and then you got the guy that does this.
Oh, believe me, I knew where to run to when Dad went to go get the belt one day. I was like, well, no, and it was only my mom being home that saved me from that, because she was like, Bob, I told you it's never gonna happen in my watch or whatever. And that was the only reason that we didn't get strapped. The only reason.
Well, that's why I have no hair. I was so fast, my mother would go like this, son of a bitch, grab the hair.
Gone.
Not the hair. No.
Absolutely, Shannon. Absolutely. Anybody, if you could check out Shannon's channel, she's getting her subs up there, so she's going to be splitting some time, I think, with Jimena during the weekday when they're going to host sometimes on her channel and sometimes on his channel.
I'm past my time limit.
All right.
Sorry, I got a kick.
Okay.
We'll continue this again.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Anytime.
Definitely.
Sounds
we'll
great.
Continue.
And I expect some recipes now too. So
absolutely, whatever you want. That's
cool.
all. I got sauce recipes. Oh, absolutely.
I cooked 3 days this week. That's like a major miracle for me. I cook very well. I just don't do it often.
I'll help you out. I cook every night. I love cooking.
I know. I hear about you. You're like, oh, I'm going to go cook. I'm like, God damn, I wish I just had him over here. I'm trying to feed a growing child.
Nobody argues what Dean do. You're done. Papa's cooking okay.
Exactly. All right.
Yep.
Well, sounds great. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Honey.
Guys, I'm still going to stay here for a few more minutes, so we'll just let Dean do his thing. And
thank you, everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And much love, everybody. And thank you for coming. Love yous.
Thank you. All right. Oh, guys, thank you. This has been great. I wanted to just click on the chat here for a minute and just get up to speed with everybody. See if there's anything major that I missed. And I think you guys can get a sense of, from the chat, we've got people with all different experience levels with different types of trauma. Some have been going through trauma since they were little kids. And for some, it has been sexual, physical, emotional. For some of us, it's only been some of those. Um, we all have different experiences, but the thing that binds us all is trauma. The individual traumatic events, the things that occurred to us, do not matter as much as just the fact that we went through them. Because how that trauma affects our body, no matter what it was, it affects us similarly. And the effects that come out of that trauma, all of the things we subsequently feel and go through because of that trauma, are extremely similar, no matter what your individual facts were. So we find that we can understand each other and we can speak the same language, even if our individual experiences were vastly different. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about now finding this new community that I did and getting Thindu and Stigs and, the crowds that frequent their channels, and having them come over here and share their thoughts and their experiences, because they're totally different than some of ours, than the lives that we've lived through. What can we learn from them? What can they learn from us? I think it's incredibly important that we keep an open mind and that we continue to educate others and ourselves as to what trauma is. And again, what trauma is not. Trauma is not a mental illness. There is nothing to be ashamed of going through trauma. There is no guilt that needs to be associated with that trauma that you went through. Hey, Jimena, how are you, girl? I shot you an email. I'm so glad you're checking in. We love you to death. And I hope everything is, hope everything is going well. So yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Glad you're saying hi and stopping in and letting us know you're doing okay. Jimena's channel is wonderful. She does things with Shannon. Then she also posts some things by herself, things with crystals and with meditation and some tarot. Try to think of some other things that you've been doing. And it is just so peaceful. I think that's the word. When I pull up Jimena's channel, that's what comes over me, is just a sense of peace. And I'm so grateful that she is a part of our community, our larger, part of our SAS community, as well as part of the larger village that we've been creating over here. Let's see. So this is going to be a type of conversation that we're going to continue to have. Deidre says it right on the money. The more we talk, the lesser the stigma. Because there is still such a stigma, especially for men. It's lessened. It's lessened by a lot, but it definitely still is easier for women to come out about trauma than it is for men. And I applaud Bindu for being willing to talk to me and being willing to look at some of this stuff and see how it fits, into his life on a bigger scale. And then we're going to continue to do this type of conversation. I want to continue to have talks with people from differing backgrounds than, say, the norm of who our core supporters have been. But even some of you, you've had vastly different experiences than I have. And how that has shaped you and how we can learn from, if you had been my neighbor, how could I have seen this? How could I have potentially helped? Because as much as we can respect the sanctity of someone's home, if someone is being injured, whether there is physical, emotional, or sexual abuse going on there, I think we have a moral obligation to help. And how do you do that? How do you help? How do you step in without making the situation worse? And sometimes there's not much that we can do, but we can offer a hand, we can offer a lifeline, we can offer some education. And sometimes that's the best that we can do. 4s for 7th, absolutely. What's going on? I saw him yesterday. Let me know, guys. Shoot me a text or something. Let me know if there's anything that I need to know. Otherwise, I respect 7th's privacy. But let's all, the 4s are basically hugs and love. Hugs, love, thoughts, prayers, good juju, however you want to phrase it, terminology. No problem, Shannon. Okay, no worries, no worries. Don't break any confidences. I just wanted to make sure that, he wasn't in the hospital or, something catastrophic like that hadn't happened. That was, that's what I was concerned about. But make sure that if you speak with him, please make sure that you tell him that he has our love, our hugs, and he's welcome to email me as well if he needs to reach out to somebody. If he can't get a hold of anybody at a particular moment, I'd be happy to speak with him as well. Yes, trauma has shaped our lives. Shan said we did a rough show on Thursday about trauma victims speaking out. Oh, is this with you and Jimena? I only caught bits of it. I was doing work, and so I popped in and I said hey, and I caught bits of it, but I wasn't listening that closely. So I will actually have to go back and listen to that, and I will. I've got some work to do today and tomorrow, so I will probably just pop that up and go ahead and listen to it. Okay, yep, Thursday's Comfort Corner. I will definitely look that up. All right. Well, guys, I have no idea what we're going to talk about on Wednesday. I haven't gotten that far yet. I had most things kind of like prepared, and we will certainly be talking either Wednesday or Saturday. We will be talking about the holidays, getting through it, managing, muddling, whatnot. So not quite sure the tact or what I want to. I don't know exactly what we'll talk about. But maybe something like that, right? Definitely want it before the 25th. Again, the 25th is a Wednesday. I do not know if I will be live. I'm trying to find out what time things are going on at my parents' house. Yes, we're Jewish. Yes, my mom still has Christmas dinner because it was always the one day she knew that everyone was going to have off and she could still get everybody to the house. May not have made it for Hanukkah, but we at least could make it for Christmas. We knew that everyone would be there. So we will definitely be doing something. Whether or not it'll be that time, I'm not sure. I will post the link. Let's see. I will post. Misha, as soon as, do you have a link to where people can get on for the village for the Christmas stuff? As to the link, is it just the village's link that they'll have? Because I want to do a community post about it and put the link in there for everybody. Okay, so they can go right to the village. Okay, great. So I'll be doing a post on this here in the coming week with the link. We are doing a 48-hour, or trying to cover 48 hours, the Christmas Eve and Christmas, to make sure that somebody is on live during most of the hours, if not all of them, so that if you are in need and just need to be with somebody, connect with somebody, there'll be somebody here. It's not always the most joyous time for everybody. And sometimes you've got that hour or two with some other family, but then you go back to your place and you're alone again. And it's, not so great then. So we'll be here. We'll be around to help everybody through it, right? As we say, we're surviving together, never alone. I love you guys so much, each and every one of you. If there is anything that you guys want to talk about, please send me an email, survivingtogethersass@gmail.com. If you have anything, topics that you want, you can email me directly. You can shoot them in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We're trying to push the word out to as many people as possible that this channel exists here and that there's places for people to come, whether it's just to listen and to learn, whether it's to participate directly because of whatever they've been through. We accept supporters and survivors, both. As long as you're here and can keep an open mind and not judge somebody for what they've done through their lives, for their experiences, you're welcome. Hi, Dennis. How are you? We're just getting ready to wrap, but I'm getting all my stuff here. Let's see. We're talking about Christmas, though, and Christmas Eve here. And Misha says, it won't be all frou-frou happy either. It will be real. There'll be many different topics and genres of people. Everyone is welcome as long as they aren't mean. Yep, mean people suck. And they will be, as Thindu says, and Tommy, they will be put in the trunk. They're out of here, right? I know so far, just off the top of my head, let's see, Misha's going to be doing something. She's got some shifts. I know Jimena and Shannon, well, Jimena does. Shannon is working at least part of that, so I'm not sure if she'll be able to be on. I will take some shifts. Again, don't know which ones right here. Ben Bacon Bits, who has a channel. If somebody could throw up Ben's channel. I don't know if you guys did, but the Meeting Pit, and who knows what Ben will cover. Who else do we have? Shannon, you'll be on Christmas Eve. Okay, cool. Games, Collins, singing misheard lyrics. Bad Moon Rising, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Oh my gosh, how many of those lyrics can you actually understand? Very difficult. Very difficult. So who else do we have signed up so far? Misha, just names. Body Illusion, perhaps. I know she was looking at taking on some stuff. Oh, that is so sweet and that is so special. Amena's on a date with her son. Oh my gosh. You enjoy. You enjoy. How Wow. Oh, that just melts my heart. That melts my heart. Keela with Mental Health Matters will be on. Okay. She's going to be doing some stuff as well. So yeah, who knows what'll happen. We'll definitely try to have some idea. Is on the sign-up sheet, is there any way of saying like what we're going, the topic, if you've decided on a topic? It's still kind of all in the works, but we'll definitely have some fun. And for those of us who have to cope and don't have the support around us, this will be a great way to be able to connect and hold each other's hand through this time. Topics are covered on the sheet. Awesome. So when you go in, See No Evil, thank you. You as well. See No Evil just stopped in to say hi and tell everyone to have a great weekend. We wish you well as one. Do you ever speak dyslexic sometimes? I'm not dyslexic, but I'm finding that I'm doing that and I'm getting my words mixed when I'm trying to talk sometimes. I don't know where my brain is. Jeez, oh, Pete. Body Illusion says she's just the comic relief. You talk about whatever comes your way. You even type dyslexic. Well, that makes more sense to me. I have certain ones that I do all the time. And I swear it's because one finger is, faster than the other. I will be in Florida for New Year's Eve, which is so exciting. New Year's Day is a Wednesday, correct? Right? Because Christmas is, so that means New Year's Day is as well. I will definitely be on New Year's Day at 6 o'clock my regular time. Cranky, 100% understand where you are coming from. Me too. Having a rough time finding the word or getting the word out. And I don't know if it's because of getting older or just everything that I've done to my body between 0 and 52 is just kind of catching up with me. Or is it hormones? Or is it, no idea. No idea. You have dyslexic autocorrect on your cell phone, See No Evil says. There's certain ones that it's correcting mine now because it knows I always do it. Like always. Awakened has put up a couple of other things. Now, living my best life at 60. Misha has put up their channel. This person is new to me, but I believe has been active in some other circles, either with Keela or with Misha, and is known to them. And let's see, here we go. Jen Marie, if any of you guys know her, this is her channel, Between the Cracks. She deals a lot with TTI, which is the troubled teen industry, and things that have happened throughout the years with that. That's a cause near and dear to her heart. The clutter definitely needs to be purged. I actually have a live that we did. I think I did it in a video too. So there should be a shorter video on trauma and clutter. And we're talking clutter in terms of physical clutter around you. We're talking time clutter, cluttering up your schedule with too much stuff, people clutter. Okay, you can have toxic relationships and that sort of clutter in your life as well. So different ways to declutter your life. Oh yes, Brian. This is Brian Lucas, who is, this is his channel. He's a resident poet, as Misha says. She's a newbie. Okay. So life, what was her name again? Living My Best Life. Okay. Yes. She's a newbie here, but I did respond to her, I think yesterday. That's so great. Yep. And we'll just we'll end here throwing up Shannon's channel one more time. You guys could show her some support and love. All right. I think that's all I've got for today. I will definitely work on getting the posts up for New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. I can't believe how quickly that is coming up. See you, Shannon. Have a good one. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for participating, for coming. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you've clicked all. If you just subscribe and you did not click the bell, then you're going to end up with probably not getting the notifications. This has been my experience, at least. You actually have to click all on the bell to be able to get the notifications. Otherwise, it just defaults to like personalized. And if you haven't set your personalized notifications, then you're not going to get anything. This is how I discovered not getting notifications on a lot of channels. But the algorithm loves our likes and it loves comments. So if you guys could leave a comment after the show or on any of the other ones that you watch, that's appreciated as well. Please remember, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you are loved just the way you are for who you are. I love you so much. Hugs and love. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. And I will see you on Wednesday.